This sitting is resumed.
Order number 9, sir. In the name of the Honourable Minister in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, to move the second reading of the Public Procurement Amendment Bill 2023.
Honourable for Christchurch East Central.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to start this debate on this public procurement amendment. Clear in my own mind, sir, that whilst we've done the major bill in 2021, that these amendments here, whilst not as not regarded as a major overhaul, sir, give very specific direction in terms of what the government has contemplated since we passed the major bill. And the members of the public would have heard the Prime Minister and others speak about our perspective in terms of how we engage state to state at one level. And whilst the original bill contemplated our engagement with state to state procurement, that we recognize that in pursuit of that type of procurement, sir, that we should ensure that the necessary provisions are in place such that the appointed agents of the state who will actually execute the procurement, that the bill should contemplate that as a reality rather than just the states acting in their own right. And the example that comes to mind quite clearly, sir, relates to our policy in terms of how we engage with respect to offshore mining, if you like, sir, whether for oil or natural gas, that whilst Barbados has an entity, the Barbados National Oil Company, which, as you are aware, sir, pursued a drilling program onshore, we actually don't have any specific expertise, sir, with respect to offshore exploration. And therefore, as part of our strategy with respect to being able to unlock resources, it is important that we have the right architecture, if you like, sir, in place, such that we engage with those countries who have particular expertise in this area, and to allow specific agents acting on their behalf to be able, in collaboration, clearly, sir, with the government of Barbados, to be able to access those resources. And therefore, what is contemplated here is just gives very specific direction to that, because whilst the original bill had contemplated state-to-state procurement, and just for the benefit of the public, sir, when we were in the height of COVID, and we all pooled together under the African Supplies Medical Platform and the COVAX facilities, which were designed to pool the procurement of PPE, vaccines, and the like, sir, those were arrangements that at a state-to-state level engage specifically with respect to how we will access those specific resources. But in the context of where you have a framework where governments are collaborating, but you need to appoint specific entities to be able to execute the specific procurement or service that you want to be able to do. The amendments here, sir, contemplate that each participating state, so Barbados and some other countries, sir, in the context of dealing with some type of offshore exploration, will be able to create a partnership where Barbados will appoint an agent, the other country, bilaterally, sir, appoints an agent, and those two entities will work together, obviously, to be able to deal with what it is we want to deal with respect to either whichever focus happens to be there. So the amendment of section 3.2 gives the specific direction and indication as to what would be contemplated where government, on the one hand, in the pursuit of that type of activity, would engage in state-to-state, yes, procurement. So we will say to specific partners, we want you to do X, and under X agreement, we both will appoint two parties to be able to act on our behalf, whether a government agency or a public or a private entity, to act on behalf of, in order to be able to pursue some joint procurement for a specific purpose. Why is this important, sir? Because as part of how we see an expedited procurement process, in some instances, that we could, in a sense, sir, jumpstart, notwithstanding the traditional approach with respect to having bid rounds and a whole range of activities, sir, which sometimes takes years to be able to come to a specific conclusion. This type of particular framework would allow us to, at a bilateral level, agree how we would pursue a specific engagement, who would be the specific agents acting on behalf of the government of Barbados and the partner country with respect to the pursuit of the procurement, and therefore allow us to be able to unlock the opportunity as we perceive. The reality is, sir, that whilst we are seeking to diversify and drive the economy, not just for growth, but certainly helping to transform the landscape, then we believe that this type of bilateral state-to-state procurement, as we may wish to refer to it, sir, is going to be important for leveraging the expertise that different countries may have with us, and that we may have, sir, with respect to providing opportunities with other countries to be able to do. Why is this? Whilst this is the example that I gave, sir, relates to the energy sector, but we have had, sir, since we started engagements with the African Exim Bank, for example, we have had interest with respect to entities like the NCF, sir, being able to provide, as well as BTMI, for that matter, providing tourism development services as well as cultural development expertise and services across West Africa. And therefore, our cultural attaché, who's resident in Accra, has been working, sir, to ensure that the government of Barbados, through those two entities, working together with entities in Western Africa, that we too can provide state-to-state procurement and deliver services, which allows us to be able to export our expertise, help develop within a specific and direct area, which is, so it's not just people coming in to do stuff in our specific space, but also us being able to go out into the world. And certainly, as we have made a very, very, very strong effort to engage in opening up opportunities and spaces within the African continent, across the African continent, sir, that we see this as an example as how we can further open up opportunities for Barbadians, but equally, sir, for the government of Barbados to leverage its expertise in specific areas to help other agencies and government agencies and engaging in a level of state procurement that sees us being able to export the delivery of those services. And so those are just a couple of examples, sir, just to give some context as to what is intended. And therefore, the work is ongoing on both sides, sir, to be able to do that which we know we have our strengths and leverage those strengths. And equally, sir, we are seeking to leverage the strengths of others to be able to help us build up the expertise that we do not have within specific areas. And therefore, sir, this type of state-to-state collaboration with the appointment of specific entities to be able to act on behalf of the government, whether it is a state-owned enterprise or it could be a private enterprise, sir, given that we have a lot of challenges, whether it is with water, sir, or a range of areas, that the reality is that the countries collaborating and leveraging the expertise is going to be important, and therefore this just sets out what is intended to be a framework that allows us to be able to do that within the context of a public procurement process that is clearly defined. Now, sir, in addition, the amendment to Section 12, C and D, speaks to the promotion of sustainable development, sir, promoting socio-economic policies of government, and maximizing the economy and efficiency with respect to the public procurement. And I'll speak more about the implementation plans as it's going so far, because it is something that, whilst we had done some preliminary training of the officers, that has intensified, certainly, sir, over the last few weeks and months, to the extent that we are sufficiently confident that we are on our way with respect to being able to have the full implementation of the Public Procurement Act. Now, let me, at this stage, sir, speak to Section 85, which is being amended and speaks to the Register of Suppliers. So over the last 2 weeks, sir, there's at least 200 persons across the public service, sir, central government as well as state-owned enterprises, at least 200. The digital platform that will deliver, in a sense, and modernize the public procurement, sir, is a platform called Bonfire. And over the last 2 weeks, over 200 officers from across a range of agencies, sir, have gone through a 2-week training exercise. There was some online training before. As you know, we were just come out of COVID. Things were still a little bit in flux last year. And we intensified that training where 2 consultants came down to be able to lead that effort in order to ensure that the officers who will be charged with the responsibility of managing and publicizing the procurement of each entity have received further intense training with respect to their preparation. I attended I dropped in, I should say, on one of those sessions, and the officers were extremely excited at the idea that the management of the procurement process now will be much more efficient. And and that's why I want to focus on the efficiency, which is Clause 3C, because the officers recognize that the ability to cascade information, sir, instantaneously, and to manage the process through which the information is sent to the registered suppliers, sir, makes their internal efforts a little easier, because it means that they can take queries and respond to those queries, sir, all in one go, without having to screen different calls and different sets of communication, such that it takes up the time with respect to being able to manage the process. And therefore, that, as a value added, is going to be something that is particularly important. But I also attended a second session, sir. The date escapes me now. So much has happened in the last few days, I don't remember. It was something last week, though, where some of the existing suppliers of service, a wide range of services to government, were present. And they were taking them through the process through which, sir, they will need to register. Now, sir, you've probably grown tired of me saying this. When all of us, sir, want a US visa, we have to go online and spend at least 45 minutes, sir, filling out that application form, which is perhaps the most arduous task that any of us would ever have to do if we want to go to the United States. The process, as shown to me and as shown to those who were present, to register, sir, takes less than 10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes. Why is this important, sir, for the registration? Is that when an entity, sir, goes online, enters their particulars about their company, sir, it means that in the future, you don't have to keep resubmitting, sir, the same information. So if you're submitting to different government departments, you have to submit your articles in incorporation and this and the next and third and all of these things, sir. Everywhere you go. And therefore, this process allows us to harmonize that single registration, sir, single registration, such that if you wanted, sir, to provide services to the Parliament of Barbados, and you register with the Government Procurement Department through Bonfire, sir, as a supplier, and you then decided that you wanted to provide some service, sir, to the National Assistance Board or some other entity, sir, you do not now have to go and present the same information to those entities when they put out a specific tender, and therefore this process allows everybody, sir, to be able to streamline what they're doing, because it means that procuring entities don't have to worry, sir, about having to check whether or not you or I are whether our details are correct or not. And imagine, sir, that you are an officer in the department receiving, sometimes, depending on what it is, sir, 10, 12, 15, 20, however many sets of documentation that people might be interested in doing a bid, and you have to sift through all of that information, sir, which takes up your time, which adds and costs time and effort and money to the procurement process, rather than having to just focus on the quality of the bids and all of that in terms of what is being submitted. So the supplier registration is important, sir, because it is a single sign-on process, single sign-on. You submit your information, it is stored in the system, sir, and any government department that puts any specific procurement notice up, and I say to suppliers, obviously you will get the opportunity, sir, to choose which things you want to do, because, sir, if you're not involved in construction, you're not necessarily interested in getting construction notices. If you are in construction, you're not interested in any of the other things that may be happening out there. So you have the opportunity, sir, on registration to determine whether you want to see everything that the government is putting on, or just the very things that you are limited, that you are interested in with respect to the process. So today is the last day of the financial year, sir. And the reason that we had that intense training for the officers, as well as the start of the sensitization for the suppliers, is that we will be doing what we call, sir, a soft launch over the next 6 months, between April 1st and the end of September. A soft launch of Bonfire, sir, with respect to e-procurement. This period, sir, would allow all existing suppliers of government to register on Bonfire, sir, and to get a feel for what is happening. Ministries and departments will be putting out things on Bonfire in order to be able to test the internal processes, because as you would appreciate, sir, this will mean a change of process for government. It also means a change of process for those persons who are accustomed to supplying government. And therefore, over the next 6 months, as the departments and the suppliers ease their way into navigating the system, you're going to start to see, sir, an acceleration of the e-procurement cycle. And when I attended the seminar with the suppliers last week, sir, one of them asked me if we were still going to see the stuff advertised in the paper, as you do. Of course, they can still be, because, you know, over a certain threshold, you need to put things into the public space in terms of for official tenders. And yes, you will still see stuff advertised in the paper, but the mechanism through which you will supply the information will direct you to the online space. Now, I anticipate, sir, that over time, people ain't gonna be really checking the paper anymore, because once you're registered and you can select what you want to receive in your email, sir, or you go on the portal and you can check whatever is available. Once you log in, you see everything that is available there in the same way that, and I say in the same way. The truth is, sir, if you publish it in Wednesday paper and you read Wednesday paper, you might not catch it. But because it's online, whenever you go online, well, sorry, let me say this first. If you, based on what you select, and a notice goes up, you will be alerted via your email that there's a specific opportunity by Department X that fits your interest. So it don't matter whether it invents the paper, you want to see it, or the Sunday paper, you want to see it, sir, you can get an email, so long as it's a valid email that you provide, you can get it. When you choose to read the email, sir, it's entirely up to you. But it will come to your email as registered to allow you, sir, to determine whether you can respond to it or not. So, yes, they were going to still have some stuff in the paper, but I want to urge Barbadians that the paper is not the only mechanism through which you will see tenders being published, and it's important to understand, to communicate with the public, that as we modernize and change things, it is really to improve your access. It really is to improve your access. So, if you ain't got the Sunday paper, or you don't have the Wednesday paper, or whichever paper that the people choose to put it in, because as you will see, sir, sometimes it's got a full page, sometimes it's got a quarter page, sometimes it's got a little thing there, and you might miss it, even though it's published. And what we're trying to do is to ensure, sir, that what you select as your interest, that you receive. And it will come into your inbox, sir, and therefore we take away that analog part where somebody got to call you and tell you, well, you see the thing published in the paper. It will go to the email, sir, that you have determined that you want to receive tenders from. And therefore, I want to encourage all Barbadians who are interested in participating in supplying government, that when the government procurement department, sir, puts the platform over the next couple of weeks live for people to register. And it's a very simple process. It really is a very simple process. You register, you get on board, and therefore you will start to see, as departments populate with information, you're going to start to see things gradually ramp up. Now, all of this is to say, sir, that this effort really is to help improve and open up the space for public procurement. And the extent to which entities, in this first instance, I think will have the opportunity to, one, not have to run down Fontainebleau, sir, by 4:30 with 3 printed copies, sir. You know the thing, sir. Running about, you get the traffic tight up, coming down Colma Rock, and you're sweating, sir, trying to figure out if you can get down the road in time. All of that, sir, will come to an end, because you don't have to worry, sir, about that part of it. You just focus on getting your bid submitted, sir, online in the portal. That will be only only you will have access to your part of the report because you're interested, sir, in what I select. You're interested in what any other member here select. But all of that hassle, sir, of dropping in those 3 copies and all of the stress and seal envelopes and all this type of thing, sir, which at the end of the day, I know that some people just make some money with this printed thing. The reality is that there's modernizing means that we have to do things differently, and therefore making it easier, sir, easier to do business with government. This is an important step for doing that, but equally, sir, with respect to opening up opportunities here with respect to where we are going. Now, come October 1st, sir, come October 1st, all government departments, all state-owned enterprises, sir, all, sir, and I repeat myself, all government departments, all state-owned enterprises, all, sir, all, come October 1st, will be required to complete the procurement online only. And the reason that as I said, we're given this 6 months period is for every single person who is currently registered in the traditional way, you'll be able to go online and you register once. Online and you register once. Thereafter, what you select as your interest, you will be able to, as government departments populate, sir, you will be able to see those notifications and you get to respond to the things that you want to respond to. The reason that this is important, sir, is because as we seek to harmonize everything, so that if you're at a state-owned enterprise, I know that there may be persons who do very specific things because of the nature of the nature of the mandate of that state-owned enterprise. All of those suppliers, sir, will be required to register with the government procurement department on bonfire. We have acquired the licenses, sir. We will give the licenses to the state-owned enterprises, sir, and they will, within the context of publishing the information that is required, sir, will use the same portal as the government department to be able to put this stuff out there. Now, as I said, sir, it does not in any way prevent persons from continuing in the way that they do their normal, in the sense of, it does not, this process does not disadvantage anybody. It only allows for people to get more information with respect to what is happening with respect to the procurement process across all government departments. So this next 6 months, sir, is the pilot or testing. So the departments will get familiar with what they have to do in real time and practice and figure some stuff out. The suppliers, sir, will decide what they want, and people will be able to see what they want, sir, on the portal, and be able to determine whether it is 3 o'clock in the morning, sir, or you feel it submitting your bid at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can submit your bid at 3 o'clock in the morning, sir, rather than having to run down for Honourable or wherever you got to run out Barbados, sir, to be able to submit your bid. Now, the truth is, sir, it means that there's less gas, fuel tax being collected in that respect, and less pollution, right? Which is good. So, as consistent with our sustainable development goals, this is really going to this is really going to be significant, because the truth is, sir, it is a cost of business. And anything that the government could do to lower the cost of doing business, so if you can lower the cost on the procurement side, you can get some efficiencies on that side. It means, however small, sir, however small, I know that cumulatively it is going to make a significant difference to the way that things are done. And the truth is, sir, as government departments also publish their procurement plans as during the estimates process, persons came into the Well of Parliament and indicated the things that they were planning to do during the year. As entities publish their procurement plans, sir, there may be something that a department might put up that it wants to do in October. And they could put that up, sir, from April 1st because they have monies voted for it, sir. All the information is relevant for that, and they will put it out there, but it doesn't go live, sir, until perhaps 6 weeks or so before. You see what I'm saying? 6 weeks before, where people then are required then to officially indicate whether they want to bid or not, and you take those questions and whatever it is. So this really does give flexibility such that the publication of the procurement plans allows for better process flow, better management, sir, in relation to how this thing is done. So, as I said, the key here is providing people with relevant and timely information that will allow the bidders to be able to do that which they know they want to do, and they have the time to, sir, to be able to procure. Now, what is critical here, sir, is that there is specific information, obviously, that you have to supply to the register, and therefore that legal information is thing. But as I said, you do this once. But what is important here is that every year, the procurement department will say to Barbadians, hey, this is the supply register. This is what you can do or should do if you are interested in supplying government with goods and services. And therefore, this process would allow you to get onto the register. And getting onto the register means then, sir, that, as I said, you will get those opportunities that exist within government. Now, there's an additional phase, sir, on top of that, and I'll speak to this very briefly because I think it is equally important. Whilst we are opening up all opportunities that it relates to Barbados, the procurement department, sir, in two ways. Because of the CARICOM protocol, sir, with respect to procurement, there's a threshold over which all tenders over 300,000, I believe, sir, across CARICOM are required to be published in everybody's country. So if there's an opportunity in St. Lucia, Jamaica, whatever that meets the criteria, sir, that opportunity will be published on Bonfire for obviously the entity over Innovative. I'll give you the specifics on that. And you being a supplier here in Barbados, sir, will get that additional information through the portal that also allows you to see whether or not you want to participate in procurement outside of Barbados. Now, in a previous life, sir, I used to do a little bit of consulting, and I can tell you, sir, there are a lot of opportunities in the Caribbean and internationally for that matter. And so the procurement department will be pulling those resources from both the regional as well as the international space to be able to populate, sir, into the dashboard, for lack of a better term, sir, so that as a Barbadian business, and you will forgive me, sir, because there are some who don't understand that growth means that you got to do things outside in order to grow the pie. But as a Barbadian business, sir, bringing these opportunities to people digitally provides opportunities for Barbadian businesses, sir, to be able to do business outside of Barbados. And therefore, that is a value added that we want to ensure that we can get resolved in the shortest possible time, because there are a range of international opportunities, and therefore being registered on the procurement platform, which is free, sir. It's free. Well, at the point of delivery, it's free. It is free. It is free. Being registered would mean that there are additional opportunities beyond what the government of Barbados is doing in relation to procurement. And I hope that persons will avail themselves of said opportunities, because in facilitating business, it is not just the upgrade of the procurement process that we are doing here. From a management perspective for departments and suppliers, but equally, sir, providing additional opportunities either within CARICOM or within the international space as they arise, and therefore registration, sir, is important to be able to have access to those things. I remember, sir, as a consultant, I up scoring all kinds of dashboards, sir, as part of my thing, because you bid in Barbados, sir, you bid in the region, you bid internationally, you win some, you win some, you win some, you win some. And you win some. But if you don't know, sir, if you don't know in time, then you can't pull together the team that you need to be able to pull together in order to go, present a case, win the business, and come back home and know that you've done a good job, sir, being able to fly the flag of Barbados wherever that is. And therefore, I want to encourage businesses, and there was one query at the session, sir, where persons thought that somehow opening up this thing was going to make it easier for people on the outside to do stuff in Barbados. And they said, well, yes, it does that, but there's nothing that prevents anybody from outside from bidding for anything right now. It might be a little harder, meaning they got to see the stuff in the Sunday paper or the Wednesday paper. But people do that, sir, because there's artificial intelligence that scrapes these things, which allows people to be able to publish these things internationally. And therefore, we know in modernizing our procurement process, we must turn it the other way around and not be concerned about people from the outside coming. We need, as Barbadian suppliers, to be able to go out and compete with anybody else in the world. And therefore, I am absolutely confident, sir, that yes, opening up may mean more competition, but opening up in this way, by bringing additional opportunities to Barbadian businesses, will allow them to make the best possible decision, sir, I believe, to be made in their interest. And so, I believe, sir, that this is going to be important. So the publication of the supply register, so the department, the government procurement department, sir, formerly known as central purchasing, which I think most of the public might be more familiar, will perform that role, sir, of being able to manage, if you like, not just government's procurement process, but bringing opportunities, additional opportunities for suppliers in Barbados to be able to help expand the business, grow the business, sir, and to be able to employ more Barbadians, sir. Yeah, because if you're able to do business overseas, or have the opportunity to do business overseas, sir, then it means that there's all the potential to be able to expand domestically and to be able to do more outside of Barbados. So the publication of the register and what is required to be on the register is going to be important. Equally, sir, sir, in a real way, all of us in here went through a procurement process. It's an interesting one because you had to make yourself known, sir, to the persons who wanted your services. And the extent to which we were ranked, sir, and I dare say, sir, we were ranked favorably by the public twice, sir, is really something that we must understand, that if you don't lift your game, sir, if you don't offer the best possible service that you can give given the circumstances, sir, then you'll be found wanting. And that's why I said, sir, that with all of this, when all of us came to this place, sir, you know that the returning officer said that the duly elected member for Christchurch is essential, is XYZ. In the same way, sir, tenders managed through the bonfire platform. So if all 30 of us in here, sir, applied for, I don't know, let's say, sir, all 30 of us determined that we wanted to polish the chairs here in Parliament, sir, then imagine the clerk of Parliament going through the portal, checking to see whether I'm a good sander, whether you are a good varnisher, sir, whatever the thing is, sir, the ranking, and will say that the honourable member for St. Thomas won the bid. And all of us will see that the honourable member for St. Thomas won the bid. But what we will also recognize, sir, is that maybe one of us didn't get the email, or we saw the email when the Parliament put out the notice and did not respond. So you will see a list of persons who responded to the bid, sir, and you will see who won the bid. So that the entire process is designed, sir, to be as open as possible. Now, if I happen to feel that I was a better varnisher than the member for St. Thomas, sir, I could appeal. Which the Act allows for that process to happen, the internal review. In terms of that, there will be an appeals process. But this process that we are going through here, sir, is really one where transforming the way that procurement is done is important. I know that no matter what you do, sir, there's some people who will never believe that you can actually submit something, and people look at it, which there's the tenders committee, the evaluation committees, all of these things are done in a way, sir, that is open. For those persons who submitted, it's open there, sir. And you rank the bids, you look at the technical proposals, you look at the financial proposals, sir, because as is the case, the procuring entity has to ensure that whoever is going to win the thing can actually deliver the thing, and therefore the service or provide the goods, or if they're doing capital works, that they can do those works. And it is a process through which I think both the procuring entity, sir, as well as the public would need to get or fare with, because more information will be provided with respect to the quality of the bids, who won the tenders, and therefore that is something that would happen. Now, incidentally, sir, at the moment, all procurement that is done funded by multilaterals are published. If you win a specific tender or supply funded by a multilateral agency, are already published on their platforms. All we're doing is just cascading that now across the rest of government, and therefore allowing for greater openness and transparency with respect to who has done what, where, when, and the like. Having said that, sir, I am just mindful, and I know, I'm saying this in this way because we have compiled, sir, all of those contracts that the Prime Minister had indicated we would lay in the Parliament that were executed during COVID, over $1 million. And within the next two weeks, sir, probably the next sitting of Parliament, those contracts will be laid in Parliament, as we said that we will do. But what will happen is that going forward, because the procurement is managed in a relatively standard way, it means that there will be standard bid documents, sir. There will be standard, in a sense, contracts for most procurement, and therefore, with respect to the publication of these things, as awards are published and the legal paperwork is taken care of, then that will allow even for faster preparation of the contract, so to speak, sir, because there will be standardized legal contracts for the most part. Only thing that will change really would be the specifics of the scope of works in terms of what is required to be done, and obviously quantums. And that really is one of the efficiencies of where this thing will come. So part of the reason that this thing is taking so long, in part, is and I'm no offense, sir, but things just take a little long legally. But by standardizing the bid documents, the contracts, and doing it in this way, then all of those issues in terms of the legal process and the back and forth, sir, will dissipate, because we'll be able to, when a department wants to do something, it means that it is managed, it's processed such that they can issue the tender, get all of the legal, issue the tender, go through the process of awarding the contracts, get the contract signed because standard legal documentation is in place, and therefore allow us to be able to get on, sir, with respect to the execution of the projects. And that is where we intend to go, and therefore these amendments are intended really just to make sure that we are on solid ground with respect to those things. Now, obviously, sir, if there's anything that happens to change your circumstance after registration, then you're obligated, sir, to let the procurement department know, because you possibly, this is I hope, an extreme example, but sir, certainly I would like to think that if someone had to file for bankruptcy or insolvency, they wouldn't try to continue to present themselves as being capable of delivering the service. And therefore, the clause here, 87.1, speaks to material changes in your circumstance in terms of supply. So there's an obligation, sir, to be able to indicate to the procurement department if anything changes materially with respect to your business and clearly your ability to be able to supply the good or service or the works or whatever it is that that you have previously registered to do. And as part of the process, sir, there will be an annual, in a sense, sir, an annual kind of renewal, just to make sure that you attest, sir, that, because it's all online, so you will attest, yes, everything is fine, good to go, so that there's no running around to, different departments trying to get things done, and therefore being able to manage this process relatively easily. And now, just bear in mind, sir, that because your name might at any point in time appear on the supplier's register, yeah? And this is just saying that these are the companies that supply to government. That doesn't mean that there's not an endorsement of government of your specific service. It's just saying that you're registered to do business with government through this specific portal. All of that information in the background obviously will be assessed based on the procuring entities and your capability to be able to do stuff. The truth is, sir, that in managing this process of procurement moving forward, issues in relation to pre-qualification and those types of things, again, all managed online. And we are going to be, as we are doing this digital version in terms of the e-procurement, the elements of the rules that will speak to green procurement with respect to entities. So as we seek to promote the sustainable development agenda, then obviously all procuring entities will need to adopt a green procurement process, whereby obviously you want to be able to do things sustainably, and therefore in doing things sustainably you want those suppliers as well, potentially, sir, depending on obviously the specifics of what is the procurement need, that they too will adopt as far as possible, sir, a green procurement perspective. But those will be articulated, sir, in the rules as opposed to specifically here. Now, I hope, sir, that I've been able to explain to the public the importance of this next phase, because the next 6 months would allow, as I said earlier, sir, suppliers to register on Bonfire, receive notifications online as departments put stuff up on there for them to make sure their internal processes are correct and manage the procurement processor. Bring more opportunities to Barbadian businesses with respect to the procurement process, and allow for all of Barbados to know and to see that whilst we are modernizing, sir, that the opportunities for greater transparency and openness in the process will be there. And therefore have confidence then, or have greater confidence that the management of the procurement process is being done in such a way that allows for ordinary Barbadians to fully participate. Now you would recall, sir, that within this framework, and as persons register, for example, and you see the specifics on the portal, in order for us to be able to track, sir, and see from a global level whether we are able to meet our targets, because we are not currently, our systems at the moment don't allow us to do it cleanly. When you register, sir, if you're a person with disability, sir, there's an option to select that as part of your profile, sir. If you're a business owned by a young person, sir, under 35, you'll be able to select that, sir, so that the data from inception, so that we can track government policy, sir, as it relates to the objectives that we set out with respect to being able to enfranchise persons. So what we are seeking to do, sir, is to ensure that globally, that we're able to track to see how effective government's policy has been with respect to the 1% of procurement for persons with disabilities, the 5% with respect to the small businesses businesses owned by persons less than 35, and strategically, sir, make sure that we use the system either through very specific restricted tendering, depending on the nature of it, to be able to achieve those objectives. Now, let me say, sir, that whilst I know that it may not be possible for every entity to necessarily meet those thresholds that we have identified as part of their procurement, what the government department will do in collaboration, certainly with the Ministry of Finance, is to look globally to see how across the entire scope of procurement, whether within services, goods, or capital works, to see exactly how we are performing in relation to meeting these thresholds. And we will be very deliberate, sir, with respect to how we're able to achieve those targets in order to ensure that the enfranchisement mechanism that we've put in, that we can actually track it and make sure that we at least are getting close, if not exceeding, those specific things. The systems that, as it stands at the moment, sir, in terms of data, all government departments treat data differently. And we are changing that now with respect to procurement, which is why everybody has to register with the government procurement department. And as the procurement process is managed through Bonfire, then we will be able to see, sir, based on the awards, or based on who's tendering in the first instance, whether or not the persons who are tendering at least are within those demographics, if you like, to first determine was the capacity to be even reach the 1% or the 5% or that type of threshold. And if, as we are tracking that over time, then we will be able to know, okay, what further enfranchisement needs we may need to pursue by using the structure of the procurement deliberately to be able to meet those targets. And therefore, I hope that within the next 18 months to 2 years, sir, I should be able to report exactly how things are looking based on the data in terms of us being able to achieve those targets, because as it stands right now, it is virtually impossible to tell what Department X versus SOEY versus whoever is doing with respect to procurement, because simply the data is not managed in that way for us to be able to verify easily whether or not we're actually meeting those targets. So this implementation of Bonfire and the new procurement processes would allow us to be able to track whether our policy objectives, sir, are being met. And if they are not being met, sir, how do we then use the same procurement rules and procurement framework to ensure that we can meet those policy thresholds within the context of our procurement process. And so, sir, these amendments here today, really, as I said, just to refine the act. The pilot starts, I know tomorrow is April 1st, All Fools Day, as people say, but the pilot officially starts from tomorrow. And as departments put up stuff, sir, I encourage everybody, as soon as the procurement goes live, sir, register. Register. Teams will be available to go and support state-owned enterprise and departments to be able to help, even though people have come in, just to make sure the implementation, getting the licenses and everything in place, and therefore we are ready to go, sir, with respect to implementing this process. I can't say to you, if you put in the wrong email, sir, then obviously you can get the notification. So when you're doing your setup, and what will happen, the first thing that would alert you, sir, is if your email is thespeaker@gmail.com, sir, just for example, and somehow you put in speaker with 2 R's, when you sign up, sir, on signing up, it will attempt to send you an email there. And if after a while you don't see it because you somehow misspelled it, then obviously it means that you have submitted the wrong email address. So these little things matter. So therefore, getting the information right up front is important. And as suppliers or potential suppliers of government, you're responsible for providing that information. And it is that information, sir, that will be used. The information that you provide will be the information that is used to give you any communication from any procuring entity on the portal. And therefore, you have the responsibility to ensure that the information that you provide is accurate, and therefore would allow us to be able to get this thing going. And so, sir, I am happy that we've reached this stage. It's taken a little longer than I certainly anticipated, but I believe that this is an opportunity for all of Barbados to see that government's procurement is being managed in a responsible way, in an open way, and I encourage all persons who are interested in supplying to government to register early, and therefore get on board with respect to improving the management of the government's procurement. And with those very few words, sir, I beg to move that this bill be read a second time. Second. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move further consideration of this bill be postponed until another time, until later date. Later today.
Further consideration of this bill be postponed. All those who are members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it. Honourable Leader, Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move the suspension of the House until 3:30 p.m.
The question is that this Honourable Chairman be suspended until 3:30 p.m. All those who are members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. We think the ayes have it. This Honourable Chairman stands suspended until 3:30 p.m.